Welcome to today's webinar, Powerful Interactions, How to Connect with Children to Extend Their Learning. I am your facilitator, Tashawn Johnson, lead teacher for Jersey City Public Schools. My co-facilitator is Michelle Romano Sanger, PERT. In today's session, you will walk away with an understanding on how everyday interactions impact learners, be introduced to a three-step approach that turns interactions into powerful ones while supporting the pyramid model, and discover how to extend children's thinking using the approach. Now let's begin. For our first activity, I will invite you to take a minute and think of a teacher that made a difference for you. Hold that teacher and the feelings associated with him or her in your heart. Do you have a teacher in mind? Now complete the sentence on the screen by filling in the blanks. For example, my kindergarten teacher made a difference for me by knowing the exact thing to say and do to build my confidence as a learner. Now that you have thought of this teacher, this is the essence of what we will examine today, the effective teacher who acts with intentionality. Because how you are is as important as what you say and do. Early childhood is grounded in research, and the topic of today, working with interactions, is also grounded in research. Vygotsky, an early childhood theorist, noted that there is a vital connection when it comes to interactions and learning. NSCDC states that relationships affect virtually all aspects of child development. Harm and Piante, the developers of the class instrument, stated that the quality of classroom interactions moderates the risk of early school failure. And last, as depicted in the picture on the left, the pyramid model. Positive Behavior Support, PBS, uses the pyramid model. The foundation of the pyramid supports the importance of nurturing and responsive relationships as well as supportive environment. Interactions is so crucially important as founded in the research I just presented. But we can't just consider interactions as the things that you say, but it's also the daily exchanges of words and gestures that we have with others. All interactions are not created equal. Children learn from all interactions, but not always what is intended. They watch what you do, they pick up on your mannerism, they emulate you in every single way, whether good, bad, or indifferent. A strong positive relationship makes effective interactions more likely. You get it. When a kid likes you, it's easier for them to learn from you versus when they are oppositional. They shut down. The learning stops. Today, I'm going to share a little secret with you, though, that can take your everyday interactions and turn them into powerful ones by making the decision to intentionally connect with children in order to extend that child's learning, creating an environment in which children are primed for learning, especially in our youngest population. Powerful Interactions is a three-step approach. Step 1, be present. Notice where Miss Pat's eyes are. They're on the learner. She's quietly observing what the child is doing, waiting for her entry point, thinking of all the things to say that'll make a difference in this moment for the learner. Step 2, Miss Pat has successfully connected with the child. Notice his face. He's smiling and happy, sending her the signal that he's ready to be with her. He's enjoying his time, and he's primed for learning. Step 3, Where are Miss Pat's eyes now? Where are the students' eyes? They're engaged in the work. There's lots of learning at the sand table. Can you see the look of determination on their face? Curiosity? So let's break down the steps a little further. In step 1, be present. You're going to pause to prepare. You'll notice that I'm going to spend quite a lot of time on this step. It's because it's important. Before you can even think to extend a child's learning, you must first do some work with yourself. It's this internal work that's going to help guide your interactions. But unfortunately, during this process, there's something that we must notice. It's called static. It's during this first step we must consider what is interfering with my intentionality. Static can be described as that noise in your head, the internal disruptions caused by external situations or events. For instance, it could be the child reading extremely loud in the book area, or the screaming kid that just won't stop, the excessive latenesses from a student barging in, interrupting the day, or it could be your lead teacher asking you for more documentation and how they can help. And lastly, time management. Maybe you had to rush to work. Maybe you didn't get your morning coffee. Whatever that static is for you, it's important to identify it, understand the source of it, and determine how can you minimize it just so that you can be the best version of yourself. So let's play a quick game. My static comes from. I want you to think maybe about a minute or two. What are the sources of your static? I'll share with you. My static comes from my extremely long commute. By the time I've battled through traffic, trying to get through the door just so I can clock in on time, that is a huge stress for me. It begins before I even hit the door. So, for me, I would think about ways on how I can minimize that static, that anxiety that builds up and can interfere with the way that I connect with others. The developers and authors of Powerful Interactions so eloquently put it as a me check. This is something that I enjoy teaching because it's all about you. It's determining whether or not you can quiet the static, that internal noise, by doing a self-assessment and adjusting to connect to fit a child. Notice in the first picture, the teacher's eyes. Again, they are on the child. She's thinking of all the ways that she can connect or may need to adjust in order to meet that learner's needs. On the screen, you will see that I've provided you with a vignette. This is Janice's classroom. She's a real teacher, and this is a real situation. I want you to close your eyes and envision Janice's room, bustling with noises of children. Her mind is racing with everything she's done in the last 30 minutes, ending up large group time, setting up materials, and transitioning children into activities. As she moves about the room, she notices 4-year-old Noah working on puzzles. She pauses for a few seconds, thinking to herself, "Phew, I've been on autopilot. To connect with Noah, I need to pause and get on his wavelength. When I do the puzzles, I'm all about finishing. Noah studies each single piece. I know I tend to get impatient. Can I be more patient with his style so that together we can have a powerful interaction?" Janice takes a deep breath, relaxes her face, and settles her shoulders. "Sure, I can do it." With that, she walks over to sit beside Noah. Can you imagine being in Janice's classroom with all the noise, and all the learning that's going on and being on autopilot. I have to admit, I've been in that same situation. Now let's dissect this vignette. What are some of the key things that Janice did to effectively begin her interaction? I'll give you a hint. It's part of the me check. Well, I hope that you noticed the first thing that she did was notice. She noticed all the chaos around her, but good chaos. She noticed young Noah playing diligently, studying each piece of that puzzle. She noticed that she was on autopilot. She noticed and identified what kind of learner Noah was. Noah was the type of student to examine, and in this moment was using his critical thinking skills. This is important to note because Janice, she was about rushing through the process and knew that if she decided to interact with Noah, she would blow it. So instead, she did an inventory of her feelings, assessed Noah's needs, and began to adjust by simply taking a deep breath, relaxing her face and her shoulders. Remember earlier, I told you how you are with children, what you say and do matters. It's not all about just what's coming out of your mouth. We must consider when interacting with children, not just the exchanges of words, but our gestures. And Janice did the right thing by preparing. Now you've made it through step 1, be present. Let's move on to the next step, connect. This is where you're going to make a personal connection with a student. You're going to let them know that you hear and see and value what they're doing. You're interested, and you want to spend some time working side by side as a play partner. Step 2 is about relationship building. The quality of teacher-child relationship impacts children's achievement in school. The pyramid model supports positive adult-child interactions as the foundation for pro-social behaviors, which are necessary for academic success. Think about what you do and say to connect with children. For this next activity, I want you to think about ways you connect with children. Jot down 3 things you might say or do when you want to connect with a child. If it helps, keep in mind one student that you would like to work on the relationship with in your classroom. What do you know about that child? What are their likes, interests? What part of the classroom do they typically explore? I can think of a student that I once had in my 3-year-old preschool classroom. He was extremely silly, enjoyed laughing all the time. So to connect with him, I would simply call his name in a very sing-songy type of voice. For example, Jasu, I'm here. And right then and there, it would capture his attention and he would begin to laugh hysterically. I knew from that point on, he was ready to interact with me just because I called his name in a sing-songy type of way. So, what's your way of connecting with children in your room? Remember, they're all individuals, so you won't connect in the same way. What do you know about this child? What's your way? The developers of this 3-step approach came up with key connect strategies. First one being slow down so that you can stay present. Keep learning about the child. Listen with intent, not just to what you hear them say, but also their body language, the nonverbal. Individualize your interactions because the way you connect with one student will look totally different than the way you connect with another. And no matter which strategy you use, remember to model respect. This is also supported by the pyramid model. We're almost to the end. We have made it to the 3rd and final step, extend. The greatest opportunity for learning lies in moments of teacher-child interaction when the teacher crafts learning experiences that stretch children just beyond their current skill level. That's the essence of extend. To summarize at this point and be present, you paused to prepare for your interactions. You did a me check. Your self assessment enabled you to identify the sources of static and how to minimize it, just so that you can intentionally proceed in your interactions by connecting with the child. In step 2, connect. You began to engage with the child in a meaningful way, using a strategy, whether it was your sing-songy voice or playing on the interest of the child, or simply calling that child by name with a smile. You've made that connection. In step 3, extend, you are purposefully, intentionally going to stretch that child just past their current skill level to teach them something new or deepen their engagement. Research finds that interactions in which teachers intentionally promote learning are far and few. From the developers of the class assessment, we as educators are responsible for so much every day that we've grown accustomed to flying on autopilot. When you follow this 3-step approach, you are proceeding with intentionality. During step 3, extending the learning, you must stay present and keep the connection strong. Think about how to encourage the child's engagement in learning. Remember, powerful does not mean perfect. When you begin this work, you'll find that it may feel a little awkward or uncomfortable. However, stick with it. Over time, you will refine your practice. During the extend process, avoid the practice of rapid fire questioning, becoming the quizzy king or queen. You know how it goes. It's like this. What color is that? What shape is that? What letter is that? What sound is that? It puts children in an awkward position, being assessed all day long. And quite frankly, it doesn't allow you to teach them anything. If children came to us knowing everything, then what would be the need of attending early childcare? Our job is to deepen their engagement, to teach them something new, to develop their skills, and to make them confident and successful learners. The way that you can avoid that rapid fire questioning or putting children on the spot is using a technique identified in Powerful Interactions. It's an all-purpose PI extend strategy called Mirror Talk. You say to the child, I see you. I'm interested in what you are doing. You're raising the child's self-awareness about their play and work, and you are encouraging deeper engagement. You're exposing the child to new language and vocabulary, all in the same. In order to successfully use Mirror Talk, you must learn to listen well. Think about how you look when you're listening. Are your eyebrows furrowed? Are your shoulders tense? Do you have a smile on your face? Do you keep an open mind? Do you convey the message, I hear you? Do you lean in forward to the child? Are you open to the ways that culture may affect listening? Or do you allow wait time, those pauses for thinking, to allow the child to develop their thoughts or to make sense of what you've asked them? And lastly, when listening with intent, you must quiet your own agenda. Throw out that to-do list, all the things that you want to ask the child, all the things that you want to know, but instead follow the child's lead. Mirror Talk. How do you do it? Remembering to pause and be present. Take time to observe and resist the urge to quiz or to provide the child with empty praise. Instead, simply tell the child what you see him doing by using the 2 following statements. I notice, or I see you, and then completing it. After you've made that statement, pause again to see if and how the child responds. And then use a bit more mirror talk. Let's practice using a little bit of mirror talk. Here's Michael. He's in the toy area playing with cubes, connecting all the pieces together. What might you say to Michael in this moment using the statement on the screen? Michael, I see that Fill in the blank. The observant teacher using the three-step approach might notice that Michael has created a pattern using the colors pink and red, alternating each link to create and complete the pattern. Here's Elizabeth. Complete the sentence on the screen. Elizabeth, I noticed that you blank. Again, the observant teacher using the three-step approach might notice how Elizabeth holds the brush in order to create broad strokes, or the colors that she's used to create her painting on her picture. In our next session, we'll practice using Mirror Talk, but in the meantime, you can practice using it in your classroom. While you're using the strategy of Mirror Talk, you can take the opportunity to introduce new and interesting words that further describe what you see. For example, instead of using the word big, you might swap it out for gigantic or brisk for fast. Once you've gone through a few rounds of Mirror Talk, it's okay to pause and ask an open-ended question that invites an explanation or offers a new challenge. For instance, how did you know that? What might happen if we remove this piece? We're rounding to the end of our session together. To create a culture of powerful interactions in your classroom, I'm placing a few reminders on the screen for you. I'd like for you to put up reminder signs about the three-step approach around your room, or if you're working virtually, to have it on a cheat sheet on your desk. Practice the 3 steps with your colleagues as well as the children. Remember to observe each other's interactions, tell them what you notice, and create a display of photos of each other having powerful interactions with children. Moving forward with powerful interactions, I recommend that you take the total number of children in your classroom, divide it by 5 days, Monday through Friday, and create a schedule based off the numbers. On the screen, you will find an example of this. Work as a team. Divide up the interactions that you will intentionally have using the 3-step approach with your teaching partner. Write it down and make sure it works for you. We've come to the end of our session. Thank you for hanging in there. For your assignment, I'd like for you to jot down at least 2 things that you're excited to try, 2 things you need more time to think about, and 2 things that you'd like more information about. Bring your notes to the session on January 12th, 2021. That's a Tuesday. During our roundtable, practice using Mirror Talk and discuss the PBS model a little more in depth. Again, thank you for your time. I invite you to share your comments, questions, and stories on the Powerful Interactions website at www.powerfulinteractions.com. Also, take some time to explore the pyramid model at challengingbehavior.cbcs.usf.edu. See you on Tuesday, January 12th, 2021. Thank you.